Hey everybody, welcome to another season of In the Red Zone. Michael Johnston here with you. Sean's not with me tonight, but he will be with me this year. We decided we're going to do another season, but things are going to be a little bit different this year than from last year. Sean and I got a little competitive. We were really trying to do the very best we could with our picks, and college football really was not that much fun, honestly. So this year, you know what? We're not professional gamblers. You guys can watch this and listen to our opinions if you want to, but this is strictly for entertainment value. I'm not always going to research all the picks as much as other people on other sites or, where you go to get your opinions for, professional gambling, or if you really are going to put money on these games. Strictly entertainment here. So we're going to do it again, but this year we're going to have fun with it. We're not going to try to do memberships or do anything else. All the picks are going to be in one video, posted hopefully every Monday morning at 9 a.m. But from between now and then, going to do some Red Zone news, going to do some Red Zone previews, conference previews, probably do one division at a time. So like Big Ten East for a video, Big Ten West, try to break those down a little bit. And guys, listen, we have our favorite teams. Mine's Ohio State, Sean's is Oklahoma. We're going to tend to know more about those teams than other teams. So when we give our opinion and we mention some things, it doesn't mean we don't intentionally try to leave anything out. But if you follow your team, you're going to know more about that team than we do. So we welcome your comments, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Like the video if you like it. And so today, we're going to talk about a couple things. I wanted to talk a little bit about, there's been a lot of transfers this year in college football between NIL, in the transfer portal, just a lot of changing. Colorado with Deion Sanders as the coach, Coach Prime, they've had a lot of people transfer as well. I've actually put a document, a PDF, there's a link in the description. Go down there, click on it. I've listed up till May 25th, 2023, all the transfers for every school. You can go look at that, compare, take notes, because you're probably going to know about your team, but maybe you don't know about some other teams, so go take a look at that. Bottom of the screen, scrolling right here is a ticker. This is notable transfers. These are some of the kind of the more well-known names who have changed schools, since December 5th when the transfer portal opened. Have some other news that we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. We're also going to talk about the NFL this year. I'm going to do some NFL picks this year. Probably not every game, but I'll do more than the 5 I normally did. And I'm going to do them every week, starting with the first regular season, not doing preseason. We'll talk about notable off-season moves for the NFL and any other news. And then occasionally you're going to see we're going to do live streams. So instead of the pre-produced packages with the open and the music that you're used to, sometimes we're just going to sit here and we're going to live stream it and let you talk. We'll have the chat up. We'll be able to talk back with you guys, get your opinions, let you ask us questions. And then in addition to that, occasionally we might do videos about other sports. I know it's in the Red Zone. We are going to be primarily a football-focused channel, but occasionally we're going to talk about other sports. So since the national championship game, the last time we did a video, it's been a lot happening all over the place. And pretty much up until now, what's dominated football news has been Lamar Jackson, and he ultimately did sign a contract with the Ravens. So I don't think we need to go over that. If you know anything about football, you followed that all along. But let's talk about a little bit about college football, most notably the transfers. Again, they're scrolling at the bottom of your screen, but let's just take a look at some of these because I have a list popped up here. Georgia Tech gets Haynes King from Texas A&M. Remember him, he was supposed to be Texas A&M's golden boy last year, and he really struggled. Texas A&M really disappointed last year, failing to make a bowl game, and Jimbo Fisher on the hot seat. So what can they do this year? Haynes King, transfers to Georgia Tech. We'll see what he can do there. Miami gets Jaden Davis from Oklahoma, the cornerback. Pretty good athlete. Year 2 for Cristobal in Miami. We'll see what they can do. They got quite a few transfers. Moving on to Oklahoma, Austin Stogner. He transferred from Oklahoma to South Carolina and now is transferring back. So we'll see if he makes an impact at Oklahoma this year. You also have Trace Ford, defensive lineman from Oklahoma State. So he's going to take I-35 south And that's interesting, seeing somebody transfer within a rivalry like the Oklahoma State Bedlam series. So be interesting to see how that works out, and the Bedlam game should be pretty interesting this year. TCU, they get Chance Nolan from Oregon State. I was big on him last year before he got hurt. I thought he played really well. He really took Oregon State to another level. I was surprised that he did transfer, but he's going to be at TCU. We'll see if he gets any playing time or if he can challenge for a starting position. You also have running back Trey Sanders from Alabama going to TCU. We'll see what kind of an impact he makes there. Iowa gets Cade McNamara from Michigan. Cade McNamara, I really thought, I know they had the rookie last year at quarterback. They made the college football playoff. But I really felt like McNamara was the more experienced player and probably was the better of the two quarterbacks. He lost his starting job, transferred out. He's going to be at Iowa. Iowa, abysmal, anemic on offense last year. Just couldn't do anything. I think he's going to bring a huge spark to that Hawkeye team. And Iowa should be much improved on offense and should be able to challenge for the Big Ten West this year. Purdue gets Hudson Card from Texas. Hudson Card was, he competed with Casey Thompson. Then Quinn Ewers comes in. Quinn Ewers gets hurt for a while. Hudson Card's a great quarterback. He really is. He was a good recruit, but he decided he's going to take his skills elsewhere. Purdue is a pass-happy offensive system. He's going to get to throw a ball around a lot. I don't see Purdue challenging for the Big Ten this year. But I think, as usual, Purdue, a spoiler team. They can knock anybody off at any time if you're not ready for them. Hudson Card, again, bringing a dynamic arm to that Purdue offense. Wisconsin gets Nick Evers from Oklahoma and Tanner Mordecai from SMU, who transferred from Oklahoma to SMU, just put up video game-like numbers at SMU. Kid could throw the ball everywhere. Excuse me. He transfers up to Wisconsin. Of course, Luke Fickell takes the job from Cincinnati, and he got a lot of interest and sparked a lot of things up there in Badger country. So we'll see how they do. I expect Wisconsin to compete for the Big Ten West immediately. I think they have the talent, they have the pedigree, they're in it almost every year. So I look for Wisconsin within about 5 years to be a really dominant team in the Big Ten. So I think Luke Fickell is going to do a tremendous job. And I look for a lot of good things out of them. They also got offensive lineman Jake Renfro from Cincinnati. They got a lot of Cincinnati kids that went to Wisconsin. I think they're 5 or 6, which actually is a lot. Renfro, their best offensive lineman last year. He's a tremendous talent, and I expect him to start at Wisconsin. You have Oregon State has DJ Uiagalelei from Clemson, and I know I said his name wrong. I apologize, but he spent several years at Clemson. He was a 5-star recruit. Was supposed to be the next Trevor Lawrence. He was supposed to take him to the playoffs, win a national championship, and really the offense just struggled under him. I mean, it really did. He never really got things going, and it was uncharacteristic of a Dabo Swinney Clemson offense. So he ends up at Oregon State, and like I said, Chance Nolan transfers out. I'm guessing he's going to start at Oregon State. Oregon State was one of the better teams in the Pac-12 last year. We'll see if they can continue under DJ. And finally, FAU, they get quarterback Casey Thompson from Nebraska. Of course, Casey Thompson went to Texas. He got to start for a year. Knew he was losing his starting job to Quinn Ewers. Transfers to Nebraska. New chance, second chance, all that with Scott Frost. Scott Frost doesn't last the entire season. Casey Thompson struggled. It wasn't a good fit for him. I know he was excited going into last year. Now he ends up at Florida Atlantic. So we'll see how he does there. So that's some of the notable transfers. And again, you can click in the description. There's a link to a PDF in my Dropbox that you can download if you want to see all the transfers from every school, Power 5 and Group of 5. So let's move on to a little bit of news that I picked up on. Some of this is pretty recent. You may have heard about some of this, but some notes that I took for upcoming college football season. Penn State, Michigan State is going to move to primetime on NBC on Black Friday, 7:30 Eastern Time kickoff from Ford Field. Now, thing about this means that even though they're in Detroit, and it's in the state of Michigan, it's still a home game loss for Michigan State. So what I read was that both teams they're kind of taking it on the chin for the league as a whole to be able to honor some commitments, and they decided to play this game. Fan reaction mixed. I'm sure a lot of, I think last year Michigan State game was played in the snow. I saw a tweet where the guy was like, at least we don't have to play in this. So they will be inside. It'll be a little bit different. It'll feel more like maybe a conference championship game atmosphere. So there's some pluses to that. Some of that will be good for the fans, but again, they're losing a home game, and so and it's a tradition that's it takes away a little bit of tradition there at the end of the season. But Black Friday, for the rest of us college football fans that aren't Michigan State or Penn State fans, primetime NBC, that's a great game. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. It gives us something to do and something to watch on Black Friday. USC athletic director Mike Bond is out. He has resigned. We found out, again, an article I read on this, that an investigation opened up into misconduct by him like 3 days before he left Cincinnati for USC. And some of those allegations have to do with diversity and racism issues. Some comments he made to staff. And I'm sure if you want to go find those, you can find them. It wasn't good what he said. It wasn't blatant. He didn't use racial slurs that I read, but it was. He made some comments that were definitely inappropriate. So those have come to light, and also, the first 2 years at USC, I read that he worked remotely the first 2 years. He came to Cincinnati from Boulder. He's got a home in Boulder, Colorado. And he pretty much spent the first 2 years in Boulder working remotely. And to be honest with you, I don't know how an athletic director can do the job and not be on site at the school, not interacting with people, being social, building connections. I don't know how that works. I mean, he did notably hire Lincoln Riley away from Oklahoma. So that was a big hire for him. And USC, obviously capable of making the playoffs this year, but so it was a good hire on that front. And I guess the working conditions at USC also probably weren't the best, according to what I've read. So he's out at USC, and still yet to be determined who they're going to bring in as athletic director. So some uncertainty out in California right now. ACC, another big topic of the offseason. The Big Ten signs a massive TV deal, which now we find out wasn't a done deal. Kevin Warren, the previous commissioner, out. The new guy's trying to salvage this, and I'm not talking about the Big Ten, but the previous commissioner promised the Big Ten championship game in 2026 to NBC. Didn't have the rights to do so. The Big Ten is going to have to pay back a lot of money to Fox unless they come out with some other kind of agreement. So Big Ten schools may not be getting as much money as they initially thought, but it's still a big contract. And that leads SEC. They're getting a big deal. These SEC schools getting a lot of money. So that created kind of like a mutiny within the ACC led by Florida State and Clemson, where they're like, wait a minute, we're in this TV deal with ESPN till like 2036, and we're making peanuts compared to these other schools. Like we're $30 to $50 million less a year. Like how are we going to compete? We can't compete when we're making that much less. And they're right. So there's like 7 of them so far, including Miami, that have this, they want out. They want out of it. I think they need more than half the schools to sign on, and they can dissolve the ACC, and then that would free them up to go elsewhere. So the ACC has responded, from what I read, and they plan to distribute the revenue based on performance, and primarily postseason. So after this year, college football playoffs expand to 12, and so the ACC plans to reward teams and schools that are successful in the postseason with more money, annual revenue, than the schools that don't make the postseason. I don't know if that means regular bowl games as well, but I haven't seen a lot of details about this. But this is a way, obviously, if a Florida State makes the playoffs, if a Clemson makes the playoffs, they're going to get a bigger chunk of the pie than a school like Virginia or Virginia Tech that doesn't make the playoffs, or North Carolina or Duke. To be seen how some of those schools are going to react to, like the Dukes, who probably won't make the playoffs. I got a feeling they're not going to be too happy about this. So ACC in a mess right now. We'll see what happens with that. And then one I want to touch on real quick. Michigan hired Glenn Schmbechler. He's the son of Bo Schmbechler. I can't talk today. Famous Michigan coach. He was a scout in the NFL several years, and he was going to lead their scouting department. 3 days in, he resigned, and it was over not even stuff he tweeted, not even stuff he commented on, just tweets that he liked. And when I first read this story, I thought, man, that must have been bad. Because the commentary I saw in an article was he liked racist tweets. He liked tweets of white supremacists. I mean, it sounded horrible. It really did. It sounded really bad. Apologize for the cough. So I went ahead and decided I want to see what some of these tweets are. I want to see what he liked. So I kind of searched and I found in an article some of them, looked at some of them. I don't think it was something that warranted him resigning, and I don't think it was something warranted Michigan pushing him out. One of the comments he had to do with, by the tweets he liked, I would assume that he's probably a Republican and probably a conservative. And that being said, he liked one tweet about how, if you're not, it was a picture of the police station in Minnesota burning from the BLM riots. And he said, if you're not going to hold them accountable, how can you, or something about if you can't, the tweet was if this isn't a riot or this isn't punishable by the law, then January 6th shouldn't be the Capitol deal. And, they call a Capitol deal an insurrection, and I won't call it that. It turned into a riot. It was a protest that turned into a riot. It was not an insurrection. Nobody went there to try to overthrow the government. They went in the Capitol unauthorized. You can't just trespass at the Capitol. So, and they got arrested, and some of them been charged. But I don't believe it was an insurrection. And I kind of see his point, because there was a lot of people who destroyed a lot of property during those riots in Minnesota and elsewhere who were never punished. They weren't. They were never punished. And so he kind of made a point with that. And I don't necessarily disagree. Other comments that he liked referred to government handouts. And I'm not trying to get political here, but he just talked about how you can never be independent. You can never make something of yourself if you're just going to be dependent on the government, and basically you're going to make yourself a victim. And those were the comments, those were the tweets that he liked. He didn't say them himself. He just liked them. He wasn't out there, liking tweets from the KKK or something like that. It wasn't that at all. So I was surprised that it was mild. It really was. And I think it all came from one person who made a stink about it. And so I don't think there was as big of an uproar as what the media plays it out to be. But nonetheless, he's out. And that's why he's out. So, another tweet that he liked was a Johns Hopkins professor claimed that transgenderism is a mental disorder. So he liked that tweet. And it actually wasn't even that tweet. What it was a reporter who tweeted out breaking news. This is what this professor says. And he liked the tweet from the reporter. And so he didn't even like the original comment. So be that what it is. Lastly, let's talk about the subject I like to talk about, Texas. And I'm not trying to rip on Texas. Oh, man. So obviously the talk about Texas this year, first of all, it's almost June, and it's about time for the Texas is back stuff in the media. I mean, ESPN, everybody will just be all over the place. This will be the last year of Oklahoma, Texas being in the Big 12. And it's just all about, Texas will be considered a playoff team before they play a couple games. Ewers, Manning, who's going to be the first overall pick in a year or two. It's going to get blown out of proportion, because it always does, because Texas has a lot of rich alumni, and the thought process is blow smoke up Texas because that's where the money is. The reality is, I don't know, they need to prove it. So they get to play at Alabama beginning of the year. And then, but the point of this was, I guess there was a post or some comments made by a Sooner Scoop reporter, Kerry Murdoch. One of the things he says is, quote, "My question is, will there be a quarterback controversy? Will there be pressure on him to play well," meaning Quinn Ewers, "because one young Mr. 5-star on the bench, if he doesn't play well to start the season, I don't know that Oklahoma sees Quinn Ewers in that game," unquote. I cannot imagine Quinn Ewers being benched this year. I mean, it would be he would have to completely fall apart, just beyond what any of us could see coming for him to get benched. Because Arch Manning, he has the name. He's not that good. I mean, he's not. He dropped to like the 2nd or 3rd overall recruit. He is a 5-star, but you know what? His name gets him a lot of that because he did not play in the biggest division in, I think it was Mississippi, and didn't win a state championship, struggled in the playoffs in high school. This is a different ball game, and I wish him the best. I don't want to see any kid fail, but I think that his talent and his ability has been seriously overblown. So Manning is going to sit the bench this year. He's not going to play unless it's in mop-up duty or if Quinn Ewers gets hurt. That's how Arch Manning gets on the field this year. Otherwise, I think it's Quinn Ewers' team. He played well enough last year to establish that he's their quarterback. And, I think he is probably going to bolt for the NFL as soon as he can. So, that's what Texas is in a nutshell. They lost Bijan Robinson, so they got to replace him. And I haven't really dug in deep, like who they have, who their transfers were, who's starting this year. I'm going to look into all that before I do a preview video. But because I don't follow them like a Texas fan would. So if you're a Texas fan, leave a comment, let me know. But that's kind of something to keep in mind. And that was a pretty surprising comment by Kerry Murdoch because I don't agree with him on that. I mean, I know he's throwing out a hypothetical, but Quinn Ewers, barring an injury, is going to be the starter against Oklahoma, in the Red River rivalry or Red River Shootout or whatever they call it now. Yeah, guys, so that's all I got for today. That's some of my news. That's some of the things I wanted to talk about. Really, it was just wanted to let you guys know we're back for another year. Hope you guys stick around. Hope you guys enjoy it. But again, it's all about entertainment. You can listen to us if you want. We love you guys. We hope you guys enjoy our content, but don't take it too serious this year because I'm not. We will make picks because we love making picks. I'll make NFL picks because I love making NFL picks, but whether I get them right or wrong, I don't care. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to keep track of our record week to week. If you guys want to do that, you can do it. And you can comment and tell us what we did or what we didn't do. Over the years, we've had people who claim to have won big on our picks. Hey, great. Hope it works out for you, And so, but if it doesn't, again, this is entertainment. So, well, guys, that kicks off another year of In the Red Zone. We're going to have regular videos from now through the rest of the season, maybe one a week. So keep an eye out for that. And hey, I appreciate all you guys. Appreciate all the fans. Hope you guys are looking forward to a great college football and NFL season. You guys take care.